journey has produced is peace and joy. And so, God, we enter your gates today with thanksgiving. We are thanking you that we are growing up in faith. We are thanking you that we are becoming and beholding and becoming changed for the time we have spent in your presence. Hey, y'all. Good afternoon, beautiful people. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. What are we doing? What? Nope, I'm not even going to press about that. All right, guys. This is my office. I don't think you've ever seen my office. Y'all always get this angle, but this is a whole office. And I am not going to choose to worry about that today. No, I'm not. Um, hi, my name is Leonore Reynolds Jones, and I have the awesome privilege of being the proprietress of a wonderful kingdom enterprise called Legacy Builders. I am live with you today from my office in Baltimore, Maryland. If you don't know, and I don't know that I need to make a major announcement, but my family is transitioning to another state. And I will tell y'all about that state at some other point. But just know that we are transitioning. We accepted this call from God to do more. It's been several months in the making, and we have like stepped down from all our positions, transition in our regular, like my husband had a job, well, had and has and does still have, right? Has a job, but he had to make a transition in his role, excuse me. And we are doing, ladies and gentlemen, all the things to transition and to walk in obedience to what we believe God called us to. And in the middle of that, ladies and gentlemen, can I tell you about the number of, I won't even say setbacks, but I will say, ooh, something's flying around my face right now, as if now is the moment, but whatever. If I want to say just attempted roadblocks. And I am reminded of a conversation I had with a really good friend of mine and my pastor at the time, because we were going through like just difficulty, man, like difficulty after difficulty. And if I'm honest, and yes, I have jumped right in, right? So just track with me. If I'm honest, today, I don't even remember what the difficulties of then were. I just knew it felt more than I could bear. And so my friend and I, we sat down with our pastor, and we literally were going through, because, so often we make like the decision to serve Jesus, um, to be almost like smooth sailing. And that's not it. Because when we read the Bible, we hear Paul say things like, in, I think it's Philippians 4:11-13, where he talks about, I've learned in whatever state I am to be content. And that means that your state changes. And then he goes on to explain, he knows what it is to have and what to be in lack and to have plenty. And like he goes on and he goes through the opposite, the highs and lows of life. And what he said was, I will not allow whatever situation or circumstance, whether I'm at a high or a low, to change my state of being. In my person, I'm going to be content regardless of what is happening around me. And so we were going in there and we were talking to the pastor, because we felt like we had been in the low and we had been there for some time, and that it was super difficult and that it was more than we can bear. And like, this ain't what God promised us, because God promised us. And so I don't know how we got to the question, but the question that we decided to study from a biblical perspective is the question that I believe God wants me to answer and talk through today for our topic. And the question is, what is a Christian's, or what, not even a Christian, what is a believer, a son and daughter of the Most High? Like, you believe that you are a child of God. You believe that Jesus is the only sacrifice from sin. You have accepted his priceless gift of salvation, and you are living your life submitted and surrendered to God because you believe the Bible, you believe his word is true, you believe he is real. As a believer, when you experience difficulty, when you experience pain, what is your response? Don't all of y'all answer me at the same time. Go ahead. Somebody throw something out there. But what is a Christian's response to pain? And I'm going to tell you a story now. So I'll go back to where I started. I told you our family is transitioning to another state. And we have had like series, it was a book, it became a movie, and it might even be a Netflix series, but lemony snicket series of unfortunate events. Y'all ever seen that, where these poor kids just like calamity after calamity? I'm telling you, like the last couple weeks have been, it felt like calamity after calamity. And what's interesting is that it's not separated, right? Because it's not just that we're transitioning, but it's also that I am once again walking forward in obedience, doing something else God told me to do. So the global gathering is happening again. It happened last year in December, and this coming year it is happening in January. We pushed it back a month just to get some distance away from the holidays. But also because what God told me was it shouldn't be the way we end the year, it should be the way we begin it. And so we're pushing it back to the beginning so that it kind of is your momentum, your push. And so we're doing that, and our family's transitioning, and all this stuff is happening. And I remember last year, like if I told y'all all the things that happened last year leading up to the global gathering, to the point where my family, we are a 2-car household. None of our cars were working. We're talking the week the global gathering is happening, neither of our cars were on the road. One was in the shop from a no-fault accident that my husband, he was rear-ended on the highway, and they wouldn't fix the car. That turned into a whole debacle. All the way through his other thing, we had a paid for car, and they made an error that meant we couldn't renew our registration, like thing after thing. And you would think, because I knew that's what happened last year, that I would be somehow prepared for this year. Like, I promise you, as the stuff started happening, I really, really started like, why is it so long? Why does this have to be so hard? And why turned into whining, right? And I'm telling you, God did not entertain it. I don't know how Jesus deals with y'all, but I am telling you, God did not entertain my whining. The conversations that I had last week, man, the people who love me dragged me along with Jesus. They held me accountable to what they had heard me say, to the lessons that I learned, and to how God had already showed up in my life. Again, they held me accountable to what God had already done in my life, what they had heard me say, and the lessons that I shared with them. And who knows that sometimes that's what you need. Sometimes being a friend isn't being a shoulder to cry on. It's being a reminder. It's being a mirror, and holding up this mirror and allowing your friend to see themselves and see that this ain't it. Like, this is not the response that pleases God. Anyway, so that's what happened, and I'm in my feelings, and I'm going to tell you. So fast forward, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, let me just give you a little caption. So when I say things, let me give you some examples. We had gone on a trip to survey the land, such as it was. And we went to survey the land, and we were in the car driving, and our center console screen goes blank. And when I say blank, I mean like it said turn left, on 300 feet onto whatever, and we turn left, and that joint stopped. We're like, huh, what? What do we do next? We don't know what's happening. It didn't turn back on. We, went through the what's that? The book. We read the book. We Googled it, came up. Eventually we came back home without it working. It's still not working. Took that car to the dealership. Of course, it is a repair that is not covered under warranty. And it is it's not a couple $100. It's a couple $1,000 repair. True story. And I'm like, are we serious? And I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna let that bother me. So I was like, God, you're gonna have to fix that. I'm not even taking ownership of that. You like just next. So we keep moving, and then I have my whiny day, and I get dragged, and then I'm going, I'm processing, I'm doing all the things, and I'm talking about today and how we got here today, and I'm taking the scenic route because I want y'all to track with me. I want y'all to hear me. Um, so I we went to see some friends last night. My husband and I, we had a really great conversation, and then I come home and it's cold. Like my husband says that fall is fighting back because, we had like that 80-degree day last week, and fall is like, nah, we're not doing back. So it's like 50 degrees. It's chilly. Hence, I have on a full fleece hoodie set in my house because I'm cold. And I went into my daughter's room this morning because they were in there playing. And my daughter is fully dressed and she wrapped up in a blanket. I'm like, why, what's going on? She's like, I'm cold. I was like, all right, I'm going to turn on the heat. Guys, I go downstairs to our hallway where the thermostat is, and I click the switch from off because, I don't know about you, but I turned off the air. We don't need it. It's been cool. So flick, switch, turn on heat. Guys, nothing happens. And something should have told me when I got to the panel and there was no time or temperature displaying that something was wrong. But I wasn't even paying attention to that. I need to click this button and slide it or press it so that it goes to heat, mode. Press. And nothing's happening. I was like, oh, I know what to do here. I take it off the wall, I flip it out, I take the batteries out, I put brand new batteries in there. And I was like, surely, all right, put it back on, press it, all right, we're ready. Let's go. Nothing. I'm like, okay. Our house is an older house, so there's actually like a shut-off switch for the entire unit. So I make sure the shut-off switch is on. I go downstairs to our basement. I make sure the power switch is on the furnace. I go to the breaker box. I make sure no circuits are tripped. Go back upstairs, look at everything again, do it all again. And I'm like, all right, click the switch. Heat. Guys, no heat. Yes, it is not winter. It is not, going to be 15 degrees overnight. So no, we're not freezing. No, we're not going to die or anything like that. But literally, we have no heat right now. And I promise you that I sat there and I was like, so I have two responses. And this is where we are today. And this is the question. Because pain is discomfort. Pain is an indicator. And you've heard me say that. You've seen me post that on social media. That pain is an indicator. Like when you are at the gym and you are working out and you're working a muscle, after you've done a good workout, you are what? You're sore. And you're what? Experiencing pain and discomfort. Now, if it's too great a discomfort, that means you may have possibly injured yourself. But pain isn't only an indicator of negative things. Pain is an indicator of positive things because sore muscles mean you've expressed them, you've stretched them to capacity, you've actually worked them out, and that means you are making them stronger. And so I'm telling you, this he turned. I was like, another thing. Mind you, we actually had somebody at our house doing work because over the last couple weeks and months, random switches in our house literally just stopped working. Like it used to work, you turn it on and it doesn't work anymore. The person came, he checked stuff out, and he's like, I don't understand what's happening, is what the guy told me. Because he was like, you hear him, and he was like, there's power in the lines, but it's like the power isn't actually connecting to the fixture on the wall. We're like, what? The line itself has power, but the fixture itself is like not working. So when you hit the switch, the power is not releasing, it's not flowing. I'm telling y'all. And so that was Monday. And then today we turn it on and our thermostat ain't got no heat. And it could be the same problem that the guy was here fixing. But I'm telling you, today, my response to, okay, it's cold, I turn on my thermostat, it's not working. That means I'm going to have to call another repair person out here to get this thing looked at to see what we can do. My response today was not, woe is me. My response today was joy. And then, I'm in my office, the door is closed, so you can't get the full effect. But like my response was absolute joy. I turned, we have like, we play music in our house. So we have, let's call it a boombox, because that's the best description, because it's not a Bluetooth speaker, but we have a speaker. And so I literally put on a praise and worship playlist that is blasting in my house today, because I'm going to praise God. Because at this point, what is this indicating? For me, this is an indicator that, one, I'm walking in obedience. Two, that the enemy is probably trying to fight against me, but I don't care because you ain't gonna stop me. And three, that I'm closer than I've ever been. If literally I can't make it a day without you coming up and trying to do some foolishness somewhere, oh, you real nervous. And that means that I need to keep pressing. Y'all, I turned on the worship music. My husband and I, we sat, we prayed, and it wasn't a prayer of, oh, God, fix this. It was a prayer of thanksgiving. God, we thank you for the privilege of experiencing this difficulty. God, we thank you that we see you, that we will not take our eyes off you and look at this foolishness that we are seeing. We are thanking you that while we don't have heat, it's not dead winter. We are thanking you that we have lots of blankets. We have clothing. We are thanking you that our house has fireplaces, multiple ones. So we're going to light some fires and call a repair person. And as soon as they get here, you will probably get it fixed. Like, we are thanking you that we see this and we feel the discomfort, but we are embracing this discomfort with what? Pray. And our response is praise and worship. So the answer to the question is, what is a Christian's or a believer's response to pain? The answer is worship. The answer is worship, ladies and gentlemen. And you're like, sis, no. And I'm like, yes. Because if pain is an indicator, your response says the indicator of what is up to you. So your response says, what do you think it's indicating? I'm believing that it is indicating the presence and power of God in my life. I choose not to pay any attention to the enemy. Like, and I'll give you this freebie and a quick preview, and then I will get out of your way today. My husband and I are in the finishing processes of our new book. It's called The Mandate, where man, M-A-N, woman, and legacy meet. And it's based on a single verse in the Bible, Genesis 1:28, where it says, and God blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over birds of the air, fish of the sea, and everything that creepeth on the ground. Right? That is Genesis 1:28. And that was what God said to them. But the part I want you to focus on is subdue it. Who was I watching? I'm pretty sure it was Myron Golden, and I was watching a sermon I think he preached at another church, and he briefly mentioned this verse and something he said the idea of subdue means that it's not your equal and it's already lower than you are. Like when we do wrestling, when you have somebody, that's submission, right? Where you will put them in a submission hold. But when you subdue something, you are already on the top of it, holding it down. That thing is in your control. So God is not asking you to subdue things that are out of your control. He's asking you to invite him in so that together you can bring the things that you are encountering into your control. So case in point, when you get this pain and this indicator that, hey, this is happening, it is your opportunity to worship God and go into his presence, invite him into the situation, and then subdue it. Subdue it. You can win. So you can turn on your thermostat and have no heat and decide to have a praise party. You can, think of the difficulty, think of the circumstance. You can look at your bank account and the numbers be funny, it be less than, it be different, and you can still rejoice exceedingly because the numbers in your bank account are not a measure of God's provision. You can have actual pain in your body and thank God for your healing, because just because you're experiencing pain doesn't mean that God hasn't already spoken the word of healing over you. A Christian's response to the indicator that is pain is worship. And so I want to encourage somebody today. You may have stumbled across this live, which is about to end. You may have stumbled across this replay. You're watching on Facebook, you're watching on my YouTube channel, and you're like, sis, I stayed all the way to the end. I hear you say worship, and I hear that is the answer. And I even understand, but like, you don't know what I'm going through. And here is my response to you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what was happening. I am telling you that there is nothing you are going through that God can't handle. And so, and I don't know how else to say it. So I asked for God, give me the grace to deliver this in a way that it gets that the hearers hear you and not me. Because here's the reality, guys. The as we talk about, like, you don't know what I'm going through, that means you're focused on what you're going through and not on the God who can get you through it. Or better yet, the God who's with you in it. It's a perspective issue. Like, you're like, you don't know the pain and the suffering and the da-da-da-da. And I'm not telling you it don't hurt. I'm not telling you don't acknowledge the hurt. I'm not telling you, like, don't feel what you feel. But I am telling you that your perspective in the middle of it matters. And your perspective should eternally be one of worship. If you choose to take your focus off of that situation and on God, I promise you everything will change, because you've changed. And you are the most powerful thing in your situation. Why? Because you plus God is the majority. All you need is Jesus, friends. All you need is Jesus. Some of you going through what you're going through, and I'm not saying it's not terrible. I'm not saying it's not hard. I'm not saying it's not difficult, but I'm telling you, you've taken your focus off of the single person, the single most important entity on earth, God. He has the capability, the will, and the willingness to not just fix it, to be there with you. Like, he can be an insulator, a buffer. And so I am telling you, the question today was, what is a Christian's response to pain? The answer: worship. because worship forces you to take your focus off of what is around you and some turn it inward to the God who is in you, to the God who is with you, and the God who is also bigger than what you are presently experiencing. And when you do that, the situation, the circumstance loses its power over you and you can subdue it. That is our midday manna today. So I pray for you that whatever you're experiencing, whatever you're going through, that this message, hear me, just shift your focus a little bit. Just turn on some worship music, whatever that looks like. Go back and read your old journals and flip to your favorite page. Call somebody who you know is not going to allow you to wallow, right? Don't call somebody who's not going to let you wallow. Or call somebody who's going to pray with you. Call somebody who's going to point you to Jesus. Call somebody who's going to lift you up if you cannot lift yourself up. Don't sit here and don't do your budget a 15th time. Don't think about what they did and how this is. Open the Bible, read a scripture, go for a walk. Get some sunshine on your face. Like all of these, like nature is a great way to worship God. Go for a walk in nature. Look at how the leaves are starting to change and how these trees are about to lose everything that quote unquote makes them beautiful. But the loss doesn't mean that they've died. It means that they have an opportunity to conserve energy in a difficult season to come back stronger the next time. There are lessons everywhere. And what I'm telling you is your focus, your perspective matters. The pain you feel, pain is an indicator. And it should indicate that it is time for me to change my focus. It also is an indicator that there is something important here. This is a growth opportunity. And when you don't pay attention to the pain or you ignore pain, you do what? It leads to injury. So don't ignore the pain. Hear me. I'm not telling you ignore the pain. I'm telling you respond to it in an appropriate way. So having said all of that, I just pray over each of you. I pray that you hear my heart on this message and that you do something different. Do something different today. Feel the pain, figure out what the indicator is, and then worship God like never before. And I promise you that your latter, as in the latter half of your day, will be greater than the beginning. Bye-bye. And this faith journey has produced is peace and joy. And so, God, we enter your gates today with thanksgiving. We are thanking you that we are growing up in faith. We are thanking you that we are becoming and beholding and becoming changed for the time we have spent in your presence.